What is good, rookies, and welcome to our round 13 trade talk. Before we get into it, just a massive, massive thank you to each and every single one of you, whether you were the 200th, 500th, or the 21st subscriber. We hit 1,000. This is amazing. This is something that I was maybe hoping to hit in 2-3 years potentially. We started this year on 68 subs, so to get this far all before the end of the buys is absolutely amazing and a testament to you guys. Just honestly, the support and everything from the community and also from other content creators. And you know exactly who I'm talking about. The locals, the legends that always pop in on the channel or that have me feature on theirs that you can usually find me on. So a massive shout out and thank you to everyone for helping us reach this awesome milestone. So, Supercoach After Dark this week will be rowdier than usual. So make sure you stick around for that coming this Saturday night. All right, you know the deal. You know what we usually jump into first, and that is our injury news. Now, unfortunately, it's not really Supercoach related, but man, Ward taking that full ACL injury, most likely heading to early retirement. It's just really, really heartbreaking. We saw the clips from the game, especially Whitfield with the hug. It was quite emotional. But honestly, like the sportsmanship and the leadership on the guy to get back in the huddle and everything, amazing. Moving into more Supercoach relevancy, we have Crouch still out for 4 to 6. I think this is still really good for Peatling owners. I don't see a need to trade him out if you've got him. We're going to look at Pedler in a minute, but nothing really crazy here. I do believe Zach's Haler is who we came in for, so I think they're fighting for the role. But Pedler seems to be doing pretty well. Brisbane, those who went early on Coleman are not faring too well. He's done a quad, or re-injured the quad, and he's out for 5 weeks. So you're going to have to get out of that pick, and doesn't look like there's going to be much options for a sneaky little downgrade from like a Roberts or something if we wanted to do that, or a sneaky flex. So Mills is probably our only option around that under 400 price. Outside of that, though, nothing too crazy here. Days out for a week, which is not really relevant. But getting into Carlton, Newman is a TBC again, still no surprise there. But Cohen is still 1 week, so Carroll owners would probably be happy with that. Williams is a test along with Silvani, so this is probably still good. I can't imagine anything really affecting Carroll's job security. If you need him for buy coverage, I think that's fine. Pitto, again, still could be named to a long TDK, but it doesn't seem like that could be the case. If the contract signings are being finalized or there's kind of a hint at where he's going, we don't know what Voss is going to try and do, depending on where TDK goes. So if TDK does go to Saints, it'd be interesting to see how they handle the dual ruck setup. Apparently, Lucas Campo, our dead man, he could be coming alive slowly, maybe. We'll see what happens. In Collingwood, the big one here is Schultz, hamstring 5 to 6. Does an Ed Allen potentially, is that an appealing pick for some? I'm not too sure. I don't think I'm willing to go there. Lipinski's obviously got a concussion, so we'll have to see and wait on that. Maynard's still 2 weeks away. So maybe with Maynard out, maybe Houston is getting a better role. So that could potentially explain the buffer in scoring. So maybe it's a bit of a play if you want to go into Houston, who's very, very cheap, potentially. But again, he does have a bias, so do keep that in mind. Essendon, I mean, the injuries are just all the injuries. Nothing too new here. So we're just going to move on. Fremantle, again, nothing too crazy here. Hamstring is still, Hayden Young's still done for the season, I imagine. We've got Pierce, who's on his shin. We're still waiting to figure out what's going on there. Nothing too crazy. Still a few weeks away from anyone. Amira is a test, though. So, I mean, that's probably good for Freo to get him back into the mix. For Geelong, Bo's 1 week away. Dangerfield is a test for this week, so that's good to keep in mind for Shannon Neal owners to see what happens there. Or any Jezza Kemra. He could potentially do that flexi spot a little bit where he moves around the field a little bit more. With Danger out of the forward line, Cameron's had a bit of more of a run of it, which is good. But if Dangerfield comes back into the mix, just be cautious if you do hold him or are looking at him. Definitely give him a watch with Dangerfield back into the mix. Gold Coast. Nothing too crazy here. Now, we saw Lombard come back in, so hopefully, I'm fairly sure he's still good to go. So we'll see what happens there. Nothing too crazy here. GWS has actually been a bit of damage. Kieran Briggs, ankle, 3 weeks. So for those that potentially jumped on again at his lower price, it's not a great feeling. He's done it again. It's twice this season where he's kind of gotten owners or traders. So yeah, unfortunately, you might just have to get out of the pick. I don't imagine he comes back until a week or two after his bye. Stringer's still away. Ward, yeah, again, season, no surprise there. But Daniels is a test as well. I'm not really sure who this affects. Daniels is probably good for keeping Whitfield in the back, just in regards to some other guys that can help filter in the midfield. So that's probably fine. We're still waiting to see if Lee gets a shot, but I really don't know. With Briggs going down, though, we are looking at a Keith or Madden potentially making a run. So Madden could be a cheap little option that we could look if named. In regards to Hawks, nothing too crazy outside of Sicily. Now, we have been looking at Sicily's scores and performance and thinking he's been carrying something, and what do you know? He's got a hip/abdominal issue. Some put it at 2 weeks, some put it at a month. It's TBC officially, so you don't know. So if you had Sicily, I would be jumping out of the pick. Again, Husway just dominating that second level, but we just can't see. I don't know where he fits into the team now. Like, does he come in and they move some other things around? I really don't see it happening, but it is what it is. Our boy Aiden Johnson did cop a suspension around 15, so love that. Yeah. You can't, this man, I don't know why we got him. It was kind of a brain dead trade in, to be honest, because he was on the bubble. So definitely regret that one. Nothing too crazy at North. For Port, those that were holding or hoping to get Horn Francis cheaper very soon, still 1 week away at least. Not coming in at all. And it looks like that Farrell and Sin are on their way back. So we'll see what happens. But for those looking at Rackens, be wary. Be very, very wary with these two being named to come back in, because that's essentially his halfback dream role gone. Outside of that, though, we've got a test for Burn Jones, which is great for Port, and Radicalier. So 2 really important ins that potentially can get up for them this weekend as well. Not really Supercoach relevant, but Port relevant. I'm talking a lot of Port because we're looking to bring in a Port player. Richmond, nothing too crazy. Dow's still 5 to 8. Sam Lalore is still 3 to 5. Smiley's still 3 to 5 as well. Sonzi could be one we look at potentially very shortly. But again, in regards to like a McAuliffe pick, Prestia had an absolute blinder of a game. Really, really good. Is blinded the term I want to use there? He had a good game. And I think McAuliffe went in the 74, 75 mark. So still not horrible. Saints, nothing too crazy. Dougal Howard is still 3 to 4. Max King, CBC, and McRae is a test. So St Kilda and Freo are on their bye, obviously. So we should hopefully see McRae back after his bye. If he held, we did not. I don't think he's top 6. Could come back to bite me in the bum. Philippou is still yet to be decided. Apparently, he injured himself in the calf during the week, but they still tried to play him. I don't understand it. Ross Lyon just doing Ross Lyon things. If we look at Sydney, Amani's still nearly suspended, so he's got round 15. Francis is a test for this week. Goulden's still at least 3 weeks away. Paffley's still 3 weeks away. And Wicks is a test. So Mills is returning, so it'll be good to watch him, potentially grab him after his bye. If you really need an option and you're good for that bye, you could potentially look there this week if you needed to, but by all means, sure. I think we're all just going to wait to see how he's, if he gets any midfield minutes, essentially. We had Cleary as the sub as well, which has really damaged us, so we're probably going to drop him. For West Coast, again, McGovern, no news or updates there. You'd imagine at this point it's probably an early retirement, which is really, really annoying and unfortunate for the governor. But outside of that, Waterman is done for the season again. So Archer Reed stonks is up, essentially, if you did hold or anything like that. But the Bulldogs, Darcy's still 1 to 2. So something to look for and definitely on the watch list to see where we can grab him. I still think he's a really good addition to the team in Supercoach-wise if we see any similar kind of outputs to what we did before the injury. Treloar is a test. Again, if we have like all the main mids now running in there. Be interesting to see how Bont is scoring Supercoach wise and kind of his time spent in the mid and then also forward as well. Outside of that, nothing too crazy else going on here. All right, so with that in mind, let's jump into the trades. We've got to try and blitz through this and go absolutely nuts. Let's just have a look at the most traded out in all coaches. Cleary makes sense. Bice makes sense. Ashcroft, and Marek, and Reed, and Flynn. All these first 6 make absolute sense. By all means, get out of the picks. Marek is going to have a ridiculous high break even. Seems to have lost that role. Maybe they're making way for McCarthy. Fingers crossed. Really good option to look for very, very shortly. Again, all these guys are just pretty much maxed out their cash, if not lost it a little bit. So Cleary, we lost 20k on. Bice lost a fair bit of cash in 33. Levi only lost 5, so perfect time to get out of the pick. And Marek, yeah, you still made 217 off, so that's fine to get out of. Reed as well, just injured. And Flynn, just can't get it done. So definitely worthwhile getting out of that. Lindsay's an interesting one. So I'm actually holding Lindsay. I still don't think there's an issue trading him out if he's like your only way to get to someone like a BONT, for example. But again, he's just doing enough. His break even isn't too bad. It's a 67. He can do it. But I'm more than happy to hold to buy and then flip. If next week things become a little bit more sketch, we'll use him to get to Naz, essentially. So he's probably on the move then. Hooley injured, good to go. Trainer, yeah, just time to get out of the pick. He's already lost 20k, definitely use him. And Simpson as well, if he helps you move into a playing rookie to help cover, then by all means get rid of him. In the top 1%, let's see what they're doing. So Marek, Cleary, Ashcroft, Lindsay, Flynn, Bice. Huswaite's finally going to move on, and Carroll as well. So you'd assume that people don't need Carroll's, buy cover or cover for any buy players that are off, which is fine. I don't mind this at all. He's got a bit of cash on his head, but 35 break even. He's still got maybe a little bit. Like we're hoping we can get him to 200k. That's probably all we're really hoping for. So that looks fine. What are the trade-ins looking like? So all coaches, Clark, obviously a really important rookie. Pedler, another one you can look at if you need to do a double downgrade to get up to a BONT, for example. And speaking the man of the devil, everyone's grabbing a BONT with 11k traded in. Nuts. Godwell, obviously a really good value pick for this round. Just make sure you haven't got too many stacks of players in round 16 buy that you don't plan to trade out of. Some people are holding on to players and then trading them out there buy. Some might be considering Dunkley as an example. Just make sure you have like 5, 6 max. We've got 6 and we might even have to trade out of Dunks, for example, to balance things out. Some people going early on McCarthy, probably to facilitate a Bontempelli pick, which I don't mind. Just, yeah. As long as it's like a dead rook. If it's like a Huswaite to a McCarthy, perfect. Have no issues with that. Gray as a trade-in, I say that's fine. A little bit late, but sure, I don't mind it. Libba's also a great pick as well. So Libba's a little bit cheaper, about 40, about 40 plus, 45k, a little bit cheaper than Bont. Has been playing very, very well. Again, with Trelaw in the side, though, I see Libba regressing a little bit. I feel like Bont's going to regress a little bit as well with all the mids back in. And probably Richards will as well, but I hope not for our sake. Martin, 589, probably playing overs, but again, he's just that good. If he suits your buy structure and you need him for like a Marek, for example, go for it. Rosie, 530, I love this trade-in. This is one we're considering. He's getting in a Rosie, coming off their buy. Got that DPP, seems to have that halfback role still. Doesn't have the easiest of fixtures to bring home for the run, but again, just a pretty sound player. And then we got the suitcase. Definitely paying up for him, but he just really seems to be in that top 5 mid by end of season at this point. Does he start getting tag attention? Potentially, but I definitely don't hate the pick. I'm trying to not pay up for as many people as possible. So that's all coaches. What are the top 1% doing? So again, Angus Clark just seems to be the rookie to get. Bont as well. Pedler, McCarthy, Cardwell. TDK, don't mind this at all. TDK seems to be, again, he's got a good run against Goldstein. There is some considerations with the weather as well. I've seen a few reports. Insight Fantasy Boys touched on it as well. The weather's going to be very, very cold and wet in Melbourne. So that is something to take into consideration. Goldie can have good games, but TDK, Is he going to bounce back after a good rest? We hope so. Does the contract play into effect if he's decided to go Saints? Does Voss just throw Pitnet in there to have a bit of an insurance possibly? Insurance policy, just to help get the system, what's life after TDK leaves sort of play. Liver again, Rosie. Kennedy is an interesting one. With all the mids running, I would want to see what that looks like with Kennedy. I know we've seen it a few times or a handful of times from, when Troller was in for like the 1 or 2 games. I just don't know if criminal data like him, because he has had some really good stat lines and only managed to get like 90s. Like he's had a few like high hundreds, 100, 119, 125. But these games here, like these were good like stat games. It's just the points just didn't go to him. And Dacos, I still think's a fine grab. Again, only lost $900. Has Melbourne this week. Could probably cop attention from a Sparrow or Oliver if they care to use it. So we'll see what happens there. But again, has the buy next round. So you're only really buying him in for 1 game. Then he's off on his buy. If that suits your buy structure, by all means, go for it. So that's what most people are doing. Let's have a look to see on the overall side of things what's happening here. I love it when it does this. So any interesting ones that I might question? Let's just have a quick look. So in regards to trade-ins, which is what we're looking at now, TDK, Whitfield, I think Whitfield's fine. You're playing 552 for him, like as if you're not gonna. Dale's an interesting one. We'll be looking at Dale. Johnson as well. Only played the 1 game. Going a bit early, but hey, if it opens up the cash, maybe you already got Clark, sure. Paying up for Sherry is interesting. I don't think I'd be doing that. Holmes at 519 looks very solid. Geelong do have the Suns, so they should do pretty well against the Suns, especially at home. So it should be a good game. Prestia after 1 game's wild at 426. That's nuts. I wouldn't be doing that. I wouldn't be grabbing Butters either. Really high break even. You're going to lose a lot of cash, you'd hope, with the Bedford tag. You'd probably, maybe you grab him after round 15. Maybe you flip a round 16 buy player to him. That's probably my plan. Kennedy, again, we've spoken about that. Stewart's an interesting one. Stewart had a really quiet first 2 quarters, but then really brought it home and managed to get a 103. So these last 2 games are pretty much where we kind of pinned him. Again, he hasn't changed too much in price. He's still a great value pick if you wanted to go there. Again, it's just that round 16 buy. We can't do it. Nando, good old Nando, 594. You're paying definitely probably top price for him. I do believe he's probably going to piddle out around the 600, maybe 610 mark. Has Geelong, probably will cop attention from a few key players from Geelong, depending on how they want to structure it. So again, we've seen some lower scores, but when he's untouched, he can go quite big. So I definitely don't mind the trading, but don't just manage your expectations. Dawson as well has just been in really good form of late. When he's not really tagged, he gets a really good run at it. You were expecting a bigger score than a 112 though. Like he was on track for a really good score, but then just kind of fizzled out. So unfortunate. I still think he's a great trade. His run home's juicy as Ash Smith. I don't understand. Or Mitchell. What did Mitchell do? Why are people looking at Mitchell? Has he played yet? He got a 49. I mean, sure, I guess, if you want. Sheldrick, Shearer, I actually do rate as a trade in this week as well. If you haven't had him at all, still think he's a great pick. 513. Great value there. We've seen what he can do. Don't mind those at all. Edward Allen. Yeah, again, I'd probably pay up for Sheldrick. I think Sheldrick's got better job security. Track, sure. Houston's cheap. I still want to see more of it. Like if he can do this again, he might be a potential play you can get after the bye. But even then, Maynard will be back, and I probably wouldn't want to go there. Rao probably missed the boat. Side bottom, that's nuts. Anyway, that's getting too crazy. Let's have a look at the top 1% are doing overall. Just outside of the usual suspects that we look at. Yeah, so you got Clark after a spike game, Dawson, Martin, Rao. Even Hewitt's being brought in. That's interesting. He seems to be holding that role very well. It doesn't seem to be changing. I don't mind the play. I just don't think most of us can go there. Even Erasmus. That's really interesting that we're seeing top 1% pay up or move down from someone. Erasmus played really, really well. Very interesting. Interesting. But he's on the buy as well. Are people trading into him on the buy? This is weird. Brayshaw as well. Maybe they're just flipping because they can. Green, don't mind it at all against Suitcase. Will Ashcroft, I don't mind it. He seems to be doing pretty well. Again, it's just who's going to capture all the points from that midfield for Brisbane in any one game. But like you can't argue. Like he goes from an 87 to 124. They have a 130 system, but seems to be around that 90 mark when it's kind of a shared midfield. Any other ones here? Cripper. We'll get into Cripper in a minute. All right, let's just go into our trades. So, our trades for this week. We're mainly just doing 2 trades. So, we're obviously going to bring in Shees. We're going to get Sinclair off field. We're going to get Shearer on field for Boxall. We're going to put Johnson in here. We're not going to have any emergencies there, but that's fine. We're going to move Moraes over to the flex. And our 2 trades this week are going to be Levi and Cleary. We're going to swing Gray down to the forward line. We're going to get in Clark just because it is. But again, after bye rounds, he'll be on the bench. That's fine. Then we got 608,000 to work with. What can we do? So we're going to go players I can afford, and we're going to get someone off their bye. Now, math being math, we clearly can't get BONT, and I don't plan on getting BONT. I don't want to pay up, and I feel like it's going to damage me overall just trying to fit a BONT into this team. Now, in regards to mid options, I don't really want to spend over 550 for anyone at this point. So the 2 options I have in the midfield, and technically the defensive line, is Rosie and Cripps. But in the back line as well, if we were to move Holmes forward, for the example, is we also have Dale around that 550. So our cutoff point, essentially. At this stage, we're going to swing Sheasel into here. I am looking at grabbing Rosie. Purely because I feel like there's probably more consistency there behind Rosie. Butters is probably going to be the main tag target. The 90s is a little bit worrying, but with Horn Francis down, you imagine there's just, if you look at the heat maps, it's a little bit all over the shop at the moment, but should be okay when Horn Francis is back in. We've seen what he can do. Like, we know the caliber of player that he is. I think 531's a fine price. Do I want to pay 20 up for Dale and have that roller coaster? Maybe. He has a lot of Marvel games to run out the season. And you can't really argue with, get me out of Rosie. What's going on here? There we go. So if we have a look at Dale, for example, we're paying 20k more for him. Hawks are in shambles. He's not going to get tagged with all the attention in the midfield. Has an awesome run coming up. The run home looks juicy as. Again, a lot of Marvel games. Like, can we see Dale be a bit more consistent? Like, the floor scores might hurt us, but you can't ignore the ceiling. I'm very tempted to grab Dale. I've been very blessed not to own the down games, but you can't argue against the fixture, the ceiling of the player, the integral part he plays in the team as well, distributing off the half back. I'm really torn between Rosie and Dale at the moment. They're the 2 picks I'm probably leaning to. I was looking at Cripper because Carlton do have a nice run home, but I've already got Shearer. Cripper's just been consistent. He hasn't really had a massive ceiling, whereas I kind of want, if I want a ceiling player, like the roller coasters I do, I grab Dale and we just call it a day. So we could do this. So it's either going to be Dale or Rosie in this back line to finish us off. So then our back line looks like this, and we just keep Roberts at D6 and we just kind of call it a day. So that means we only need to worry about Lindsay, Gray, and then Moraes. So then we have 3 upgrades to do with 11 trades. So we should have 4 to 5 trades left, hopefully after we flip. Now, with those 4 to 5 trades, if we go down to 4, it means we've traded out Newcomb. If we go down to 3, it means we've probably moved on from Dunkley, just to help a little bit. But they're not major priorities. The issue with Newcomb is that he's just going to keep losing cash, which is so frustrating. So we could potentially move Newcomb on to someone else. Like, if we wanted to grab Dale and Rosie, we could do that. We could definitely do that. If we swing Holmes down there now, we could pick up a Rosie. But if anything, I might just use Newcomb to get the Naz, potentially. There's so many options, but I think for this week we have to hold Newcomb. It's going to be a trash game against Western Bulldogs, and there's no light at the end of the tunnel coming for the fixture at all. So round 15, I think we have to get rid of him at least. So we'll see what happens there, but it is what it is. That's what we're looking like for our main 2 trades. We could potentially move on to Simpson with the cash left over to bring in a peddler. I just don't know if it's worth it because we're not gaining cash from that trade. We're just getting a playing rookie in a field where we don't really need it. Is he going to make cash? I mean, look, you can't lie. He's been pretty consistent. One against an easy team. You'd probably say they're both easy teams, let's be honest. Round 15 buy, which I think we're okay for. I just don't see the merit in doing this trade, though. So I'd rather hold on to the trade and hold on to 56K and then make moves next week and see if McCarthy gets a gig, holds a spot, go from there. That's essentially what I'm looking like for my trades. Now to jump into VC and C for the week. So round 13, no Saints, no Freo. Keep that in mind. Against Hawks, your main VC choices are probably going to be Richards, BONT, where's the camera? BONT, and Dale. See how they go. I'm not going to VC anyone from Hawks. I would suggest not doing that. But if you wanted to do Thursday night, BONT's probably number 1. Dale's probably number 2. Richards is number 3. For Friday night, it might just be a really competitive game. So scaling could come into play. I probably wouldn't go anyone though, if I'm being honest. If anything, I might look at Zorko, but Zorko is a very hit and miss. Sydney against Richmond on Saturday. You have a Heaney. You could go Heaney. Heaney should have a good game. Maybe a Warner. Does he have a bounce back? Does Mills pop off? Hard to know. Saturday, a great VC option is obviously Smith against the Suns at home. So we should see a spike ceiling game from Smith, I imagine. Even Holmes should have a pretty good game. Whether you VC them or not at this point being a kind of later afternoon game, sure, maybe. There's probably better options before then. But if you wanted to do Smith to be different, I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. From Gold Coast, you imagine Ando's going to get attention. So I'd probably go Raul if you had him, if you wanted to be very, very different. Even a Wits if you had him. You could easily VC Wits. I think Wits will give you a decent VC score that you could take. Probably nothing from this game. Maybe Green or Whitfield, Manuka. Port, I don't know. Maybe Rosie. I don't know. I think the main one here is Whitfield. Green, I haven't seen enough to warrant. I gave him the VC against Richmond and he did nothing. So I'm not going to recommend Green as a VC here. So probably just Whitfield, maybe an Ash as well. But for Port, you're probably just hoping. If you have Butters, he's probably copping attention. Maybe a Rosie, but even then, Bedford could still go to him. Now, the clear one's here. The clear VC is here. Jerry versus Flynn. As if you're not VCing that or captaining that. VC or captain, I think there's a fine option here. We're personally going to VC him. If you didn't have Sherry, maybe Sheasel, maybe. But outside of that, you're not really looking anywhere else. Sunday, if you had and were ever so inclined, Nick Martin, probably a great pick here. Merritt, I don't know if I trust it. We just haven't seen what we needed to. So I'd probably go Martin from Essendon. From Carlton, you could probably go with Shearer if you wanted to be very different. Again, I wouldn't have high hopes for it. But it's TDK as well. But again, just know that the weather's not looking great. Probably not going to be a spike score. I may eat my words here. TDK could be fine. Maybe a Hewitt if you have him. But it really depends if Hewitt's going to give attention to Merritt. And then obviously we have Melbourne versus Collingwood. Gawn's a clear captaincy here against Cameron. Cameron does seem to leak a little bit of points. Doesn't seem to be the strongest. I think Sherry came up against... When did Sherry come up against him? So Sherry got a 126 against him. So you'd imagine a safe score from Gawn with this as well. They're very similar plays that they like to grab intercepts and be a nuisance in the forward line, on the line for goals to just really wreak havoc, essentially. So I don't mind Gawn at all in this. Also don't mind Dacos. Dacos, if not given the attention from Sparrow or Oliver, should do well. I just don't know if you trust it on the last game. Gawn's not going to get tagged. Dacos could potentially cop attention. So I'm going to highlight Gawn as the main one here. And that's all there is for this week, I guess. more than anything, the big question around all of this is BONT. Now, I'm dedicating a full section at the end to BONT. I hope you guys are liking the warm lighting. It's very mood setting. Because we're going to get romantic. We're going to look at the BONT. Is it worth paying $640 for BONT? Now, looking at his score since he's come back, 159, 128, 141, a 140, a 107, a floor of 99 at the moment. All midfielders back in action with a break even of, I think it's like in the 130s, 137. You could wait a week, in my opinion. Now, do you have the cash available to even make the trade work? Or are you burning a trade to get a Carroll down to a McCarthy, for example, to facilitate BONT? Are you wasting a trade for trade's sakes to get in someone over 600K? We remove BONT from the picture. You put player A at 643 versus player B at 550. So about 90K difference. Let's just go BONT to Dale. Around 90K difference, give or take. What does it do to your team moving forward? This is the major impact it has. When you kind of break your team and break the bank to get a player in, like we did for Sherry, and it kind of limited us a bit. We could have gone to Romo, or we could have done whatever, could have held TDK, could have done whatever. But we could have definitely made bigger moves and safer moves if we didn't spend up for Sherry. The same is going to be said for BONT. If you pay up for BONT at 643, yeah, he may not actually come down that much. He might come down to 610, 615, 630 might even be his lowest that he gets. The run's juicy as. All these Marvel games, you got Richmond, you've got West Coast, you've got Melbourne, you've got North, you've got Sydney. Hawks are in shambles. You've got Essendon. Like, it's a really nice run home. I see the merit in trading him in, by all means. If you can afford it and still get the full primo and get the players that you want to finish your team, there is no issues doing it. If you're breaking your structure or having to trade out of rookies early that haven't maxed out their cash to try and facilitate it, I get a bit unsure, only because we need as much cash from our rookies as possible. So if their break even's still achievable, like Carroll is, maybe it's worth just waiting one more week. You're not going to be burnt by him. I want to see what he looks like with all the mids in the mix. How much forward time does he get? Now, again, he can score very well on the forward line. He'll kick a bag and do BONT things, of course. I just don't know if it's worth breaking my team and spending the trade and spending an extra 100K from my Rosie/Dale to get in a player when I know that it would mean I probably have to wait on Naz or definitely get Mills in the mix. Whereas I'd want Mills as a luxury pick in my flex. Like, I want to be able to get Moraes. And it may even be the case that maybe I don't do anything next week. I wait till the bye for Sydney and I get Mills in afterwards. Hopefully Moraes is still making more cash. I can move off Moraes and Carroll, for example, or Moraes and Lindsay. Get in a rook for that last section, rotate these guys and make some magic happen, or try to at least. If I go BONT, it really forces my hand to wait and do some weird stuff with the team, which I don't want to do. So really, if you're considering getting BONT in, just make sure it doesn't ruin your plans for going full primo, getting at least 22 premiums, and then maybe a cheapo in the third. I'm probably going 22 and Mills in flex. That's probably the goal if Mills is up to the task, that is. That's where I'm looking at for the moment, is that sort of approach. If it doesn't hurt you that much and you can still do what you want to do and you've made cash plays and everything to allow for BONT, go for it. It's very team dependent, the BONT pick. If you've made the cash available and you've got 200K sitting there and you can do it in 2 trades, go for it. Do it. You've made plans to do it. That's perfect. If you're forcing it with 3 trades and getting all this other stuff of mid-season draft rookies that may or may not play, we still don't know, we're speculating, then I ask, is it worth it? And you might say yes. Then I say, go ahead, get him in. I am a little bit more cautious. I'm still trying to play the value game a little bit here. So that's my 2 cents. Again, we hit 1,000 subscribers, which is crazy. Was worthy of the cowboy hat. Jonas, you're welcome. If you made it this far, make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe. We won't be touching on the subscriber count anymore. because we hit our milestone. Where we go from here, hopefully it's just up. Fingers crossed. But yeah, if you made it this far, make sure you leave a like and comment down below what you guys are doing this week. Are you getting the BONT? Are you fading the BONT? Are you going to target Butters, Naz? What are your trades for this week? And who are your vice captain captaincy options leading into round 13? All right, legends, you guys have been awesome. Make sure you stick around on Saturday after the game for Supercoach After Dark. Word on the street is we'll have a horse joining us. So make sure you stay tuned for that. See you guys in the next one.